Hi, I'm Sari with Seamwork, and this is the second week of our 5 weeks of wardrobe planning tips. So in today's video, we're going to show you how you can use a custom croquis to sketch your own designs. And that's true even if you think that you can't draw, because you really don't need to know how to draw to do this type of design sketching. Sienna's going to show you how you can use MyBodyModel, our design flats, and then a few tips to help you sketch out all your sewing plans really quickly. So these tips are drawn from our Design Your Wardrobe class, which is a program that's available for free to our members, and it walks you through the process of designing your own personalized collection of sewing projects for a season. It comes with worksheets and activities, it's got a planner, and there's a private community so you can share your progress with other people, and you can watch a video lesson every day. So check out the description if you want to learn more about that. But one of the things that we teach in the class is the process of designing looks and then breaking those down into projects. And some people do get a little intimidated by the sketching part. So Sienna's going to show you how to make it really easy.
Hi everyone, my name is Sienna and I'm the content producer here at Seamwork. For this round of Design Your Wardrobe, we're going to take a look at using custom croquis and technical flats to design and plan our capsule wardrobes. I know what you're thinking. I can't draw. But here's the thing, you absolutely can. Drawing is a learnable skill. Just like learning to sew, learning to draw well takes practice, patience, and perseverance. With the help of MyBodyModel, Seamwork's technical flats and croquis, and some sketching tips, I'm sure you'll be drawing all of your sewing plans in no time. In this video, I'm going to cover what croquis and technical flats are, and how they can help you plan your Design Your Wardrobe looks, information about MyBodyModel, and some drawing tips for sketching your Design Your Wardrobe looks and projects. So what are croquis and technical flats? The word croquis means to sketch in French, and in fashion it refers to a sketch of a figure. A technical flat is a drawing that generally illustrates the front and back views of garments. In the fashion industry, croquis combined with technical flats are used to communicate a garment's intended fit and design details to the pattern makers. Here at Seamwork, our designer Haley uses croquis to design each and every Seamwork pattern. And here's a little fun fact. Our Mrs. and Groovy croquis have been drawn using photos of our fit models, so when Haley passes off the designs to the pattern team, they're looking at pretty accurate representations of what the garment will look like on the fit model. Combining a custom croquis and technical flats is a really powerful way to plan your Design Your Wardrobe looks and projects. In addition to testing out entire outfits, you can consider details like necklines, fit, garment length, fabric choices, and many other details. Chances are your body isn't exactly the same as the pattern company's fit model. Not to mention many commercially available fashion sketchbooks use croquis with pretty unrealistic proportions. Since one of the intentions of drawing a Design Your Wardrobe look is to know how the garments and combination of garments will look on your body, you can create a custom croquis using MyBodyModel. With MyBodyModel, you can make your own printable and digital fashion sketchbook featuring croquis of your own body. MyBodyModel is free to try. It takes just a few minutes to enter your measurements in the website and get your free body model preview. You can even fine-tune your body model until it looks just right. Then you can purchase your choice of download packages, including a digital and printable sketchbook with front and back views, and 1 to 12 croquis per page. To sketch your looks, you'll need your Design Your Wardrobe looks, maybe even your mood board, your MyBodyModel croquis, printed copies of the Seamwork Technical Flats on croquis, some tracing paper. I like to use this brand because it works well with markers, a pencil, an eraser, and a fine line pen like this. I'm using a Micron. Before we dive into sketching our garments, let's add some helpful reference lines to our MyBodyModel croquis. Drawing is all about seeing how lines relate to one another, so adding these reference points will help you draw more symmetrical and proportional garments. First, let's add a really light or dotted line down the center front. Then I'm going to draw an ever so slightly curved line at the narrowest part of my waist. I'm also going to mark the arm size on both sides here. And lastly, I'm going to add some rough princess lines that go from about mid-shoulder through the bust apex down to the knee. I'm also going to note where the base of my neck is. Now that we've marked out these reference lines on our croquis, let's put this under some tracing paper and grab my first reference image. A good sketching habit is to work from big to small. So in garment terms, think of overall silhouette first, then details like pockets and belt loops last. It's really easy to zone in on the details first because they're fun, but resist the urge to draw them right away, and you won't have to erase as much if you need to change anything. Okay, so if I'm looking at the waistband, the bottom of it appears to be hitting right at the natural waist. So I'm gonna go ahead and lightly draw that in. And then if I'm looking at how the pant fits on this croquis, it's pretty snug and fitted in the hips, but then begins to fall away from the leg at like the low hip, top thigh area. So I'm going to give myself just a little mark there on both sides so that I know that's where I'm going to transition away from the leg. The cuffs seem to be hitting right at the ankle bones. I'm going to go in and just add a little curved line there. So they're not at the same height. That's why it's important to have an eraser. All right, and then crotch appears to be hitting right on the body. I'm gonna add just a little mark there. Now I'm ready to start drawing the pant legs. So they're skimming the body right until about low hip. Break away from my leg, just skimming right next to it. Okay, now if I look at the inseam, it's close to the thigh for a ways and then breaks away. So I'm gonna replicate that. So that's the general shape of the Nolans. Now I'm ready for details. So if we look at the waistband, it comes up about that far. Slightly rounded line to make it look like it's actually fitting on a body. Then center front is the same on my body, so I'm glad I added that reference line to my croquis. Okay. And then if I want to add in the stitch line of the fly, it comes up a little bit from the crotch and then just a little bit to the right of center front. Go ahead and add that button in. Now if I'm looking at the belt loops, those match up pretty well with where the princess lines are. They kind of hover right over them. And they extend just a little bit below the waistband. Now looking at the pockets, those are just outside. The top lines begin just outside of the belt loops. And they end about high-ish hip, it looks. All right, so the pocket stitch line is going to be from about there to just about where the pant begins to move away from the leg. Give myself little reference marks. And they fall kind of at a slight angle. And then they have just a touch of an angle up. Kind of don't look like they're falling in line though. Again, eraser's handy. Okay, that's a little bit better. Okay, and then the cuffs are, they look to be the same width as the waistband. I'm just gonna mark that. And then they follow the same shape as the bottom that we already created. I'm just gonna mimic that, and they come out a little bit on the sides there. One drawing tip is I'm keeping this straight up and down so that you all can see what I'm doing, but feel free to move your paper so that your hand's not smudging things. Cool thing about sketching out your makes is you have an opportunity to think about finishes. Like, do you like the straight lines? Would you like to have a curved stitch line to mimic the pocket opening? You can test out these ideas before you even start making a muslin. Okay. I'm gonna let this dry for a little bit before I go in and erase my pencil marks. Another project that I want to make in order to complete this look is a chore jacket, and I'm planning to make Seamwork Rhett. Okay, so this point appears to be right in the middle, and then it's kind of hard to tell. There are a lot of lines happening, but the collar, even though that's a small detail, I'm just gonna get the general shape of where it falls on my neck. So it comes up a little bit, like that on both sides. Okay. And then this shape, it's a slight curve. All right, and that's all I'm gonna do with the collar right now. Center front appears to be a little to the left of the actual center front line. Draw that in. And also, if I'm looking at the hem on the jacket, it comes past my natural waist, but not by a whole lot. I think actually where I ended that is pretty good. And then it appears to be coming out from the hips quite a bit. Give myself some little markers there. Just do a very subtle curve like that. Let's head back up here. So if I look at the jacket, it is resting right on top of the shoulder line and even the sleeves. So I'm just going to follow my body model's lines here. I'm going to use that same arm side line that I created earlier on my body model. And then if I look at the line of the side seams here, they fall pretty straight. Then the position of the arms are a little bit different, but that shouldn't really impact the drawing a whole lot. I am noticing though that the sleeve falls just a little bit away from the croquis arm. So I'm gonna add that in as well. it's ending right at my wrist bones. So I've got my general shape down. Now I can go in and think about the details. So looking at the collar, got a little upside down V shape. And then a slight curved line out to the sides of my neck. And then got a stitch line that's kind of falling from the point of the collar down to the hem. This line should also be lining up there. Okay. Button appears to be hitting right the bust. Now I need to think about pockets. I'm not entirely sure what kind of pocket I want, so I'll draw one of each. So looking at the angled pocket, it's hitting above the button. These buttons look spaced a little strange. Wonder if this is too long. Yeah, it's making me think I need to shorten this a hair. All right, so the angled pocket is below this button here, but above this button. Bottom seems to end around the button area. Line is a little bit curved. This line appears to be in line with the button, almost. Okay, for the rectangular pocket, top is still hitting in about the same spot. Bottom near the bottom button. Okay, and then there's also that interior pocket, which appears to be just right on top of the bust. If you want, you can go ahead and add some colors that represent the fabrics that you're thinking about sewing up your garments in. You can use markers, you can use watercolor. Choices are really endless. Just use what you have. And if you don't have anything, don't worry about it. They can just be simple line drawings like these. Now that the pen has had a little bit of time to dry. I'm gonna erase my pencil marks. I just like to do little test swatches of my markers to see what's closest to that. I know I'm not gonna match it perfectly, but I wanna get kind of close. Cool. So that's one way that you can plan your design your wardrobe projects and looks using MyBodyModel. Happy planning, sketching, and sewing. Oh, I didn't hit record.